The Doctor. In the TARDIS. Next stop, everywhere.
Hello again, Whovians. Welcome back to Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs, one of your co-hosts, back in the TARDIS once again, or, well, working from home in the TARDIS this time because I'm now in the basement of solitude. But I'm here, of course, with my partner in time and fellow worker from home, Jesse Jackson. How you doing, Jesse?
I am good, Charles. We are officially in the off season. If there was a Doctor Who draft and combine and all that stuff that the off season happens, we're in it, and I am excited to. We have a full range of episodes we're going to look at, and I'm excited to get that started today.
Yeah, obviously, we've kind of posted our schedule already on our Next Stop Everywhere Facebook page and our Twitter account. That we've got a lot planned. We're planned out through, I believe, October, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe we are.
And so yeah, we put a lot of thought into this, and hopefully, we're going to have some returning special guest companions. Hopefully, we're going to have some more because there's still some vacancies left. So if you want to join us, we'll give you more information about how to get a hold of us later.
Yes.
But in the meantime. Here at episode 177, we are going to talk The Next Doctor. And this was a special request by Jesse Jackson, who apparently was in a mood to do Christmas in March for some reason.
I'll give you a little background. One of the, Charles being so wonderfully Charles, has a list of every Whovian episode we have not discussed. And he keeps that ongoing list. So when we were talking about, we had everything planned, but we had a skip week. And we were like, do we want to just not record that week, or do you want to come up with an episode? And I said, okay, well, let me look at the list. And I saw this one, and I didn't even think of it as being a Christmas special. I just thought of it as a really cool episode with a great guest star that would be for an interesting discussion. And I know you've done the research because, as Brad Meltzer once shared in a Q&A, he said, when I'm doing a novel, I have to do tons of research. When I'm writing a comic, it's just all in my head. I just don't I have to hardly do any look. And I feel that's the way about you.
Well, I'm obviously one of those people that enjoy doing the research, especially,
yes.
Hey, it's a pretty fun thing to kind of research Doctor Who, especially if you're a Doctor Who fan. So you don't really have to twist my arm all that hard, believe it or not.
So before we get into, we're going to talk about the writer and director and the cast we always do.
We'll run down our background.
Can you remind me where because I do know that Tennant had already announced he was leaving.
Yes. That was one of the things I was going to cover in our trivia.
Okay, so good, please.
But we can talk about it now.
Yeah.
So essentially this episode, The Next Doctor, was the first to be broadcast after David Tennant's announcement that he was going to leave the role of the Doctor in 2010. And as a result, interest was really high when this episode came out. I think they did that deliberately to kind of goose interest in this special. And because, everybody was like, well, okay, we've got this guy who's claiming to be the Doctor. Is he really the Doctor? We don't know. And, the title is The Next Doctor. So, is this like going to be like the 10th Doctor meeting the 11th Doctor?
Right.
Because there was a lot of speculation about whether David Morrissey was actually going to become the 11th Doctor.
Right.
After the regeneration. So obviously that didn't turn out because, hey, we got some unknown guy named Matt Smith. Who, I guess he turned out okay.
It worked out okay.
Yeah,
now,
it worked out okay. But yeah, there was obviously speculation was pretty high, and I think everybody was just like waiting, dying to see this special.
Remind me, because David was off doing Hamlet.
Yes.
That there was not time to do a full necessary season, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So instead of getting Series 5 with David Tennant, because of his schedule with the Royal Shakespearean Company, Tennant agreed to come back, but only if he could do like a special here every few months.
Right.
And so essentially what we got is, instead of a full series, we got a series of specials. That
like
ran,
almost Doctor Who movies.
Exactly. So, yeah, exactly. Almost like Doctor Who, a season of Doctor Who TV movies.
Yes.
Kind of like, they did with Columbo in the 80s.
Yes.
And if you remember that, if you're older than dirt like Jesse and I.
Well, the Sunday Mystery movie, right? Where they had Columbo and McCloud and Banachek, where they had a different hour and a half episode every Sunday, but it was a different character.
Gee, Grandpa, tell me about this Sunday Mystery movie.
Yes, even more. So
yeah, exactly. That was like in the 70s. So that's even going farther back.
So we had so I know we had this one, The Waters of Mars.
Yeah. We basically had this one, and then we went to Planet of the Dead. Yeah. And then we went to Waters of Mars, and then we had The End of Time Parts 1 and 2. So it ran from like this special from December 25th, 2008, all the way through The End of Time Part 2 on January 1st, 2010, just so David Tennant can say, well, hey, I was the Doctor until 2010.
Yeah.
Giving him a quote-unquote 5-year run. Right.
Yeah. I think that may be more BBC than David Tennant, but yes, point taken.
Right. Well, he was the one with the schedule,
Have we discussed? We discussed all.
Yeah,
this is the last
this
one,
is
right?
This is the last of the specials we haven't discussed yet. So
another reason why we should bring this up.
Exactly. All right. So
now that we've set the stage,
I think we set the table pretty good. I mean, we went the full, like all the knives and forks and all that. So give some overview on this one. This was written, of course, by Russell T Davies and directed by Andy Goddard. And like I said, was the 2008 Christmas special, starring, of course, David Tennant as the 10th Doctor, and guest starring David Morrissey as Jackson Lake, a.k.a. the Next Doctor. And, of course, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, you know this guy right off the bat because, hey, he played the governor / Philip Blake on The Walking Dead, where he's primarily known from outside of Doctor Who. And he was recently a character named Captain Vincent in the adaptation of Good Omens, based on the Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett novel. And he was also in the movie The Other Boleyn Girl with Scarlett Johansson and Natalie Portman, I believe.
Okay.
And then we had an actress named, and apologies if I totally butchered this, Velile Tshabalala as Rosita Farisi, the Next Doctor's companion, Rosita. And also Dervla Kirwan, who played Miss Mercy Hartigan. And as she pointed out in the episode, her first name is indeed Mercy. And she's notable primarily to U.S. fans as maybe, she appeared in Law & Order UK with Freema Agyeman who played, of course, Martha Jones. And then we had Neil Dermott as Jed, and young Tom Langford, who's probably not so young now because, hey, it's been 12 years since this Christmas special, as Frederick.
Okay.
So he's probably quite the young man right now, as opposed to being, his Jackson Lake's son, Frederick.
I actually looked, I went to IMDb to look up our female lead / villain, thinking she looked familiar, and I did not recognize anything that she was in. She's really good.
She does have that kind of look, doesn't she? Like, she's been in other things, but I thought she did a really good job. And obviously, we're going to talk about her as Miss Hartigan in our second segment, so stay tuned for that.
Good.
Some other trivia before we get started. This is the last episode produced in standard definition. So Doctor Who finally made the jump to high def with the following special, Planet of the Dead, which obviously we've talked about here. And also, Russell T. Davies chose the name for Rosita for a Jackson Lake's companion because it contained elements of the words Rose and Martha.
Ah.
And it also happens to be Spanish for Little Rose.
Ah, very nice.
So, Russell T. Davies being a little clever there.
See, I was going to bet that he was a huge Springsteen fan and was after Rosalita.
I knew that. It's Rosita, not Rosalita.
I'm just saying, I think that's...
You're stretching.
I'm just saying...
This is you reaching to make that connection.
Hey, I'm not here for business. I'm only here for fun.
Okay. All right. So with that, let's get into our main topics, shall we? 3 topics this week. This is a pretty straightforward episode. So we should probably breeze through this pretty quickly, I'm guessing. Topic number 1, let's talk about the 10th Doctor and the next Doctor, a.k.a. Jackson Lake, and also Rosita, not Rosalita, Farisi.
Yes.
All right. So what did you make of our pairing with David Tennant and David Morrissey, along with Velile Tshabalala?
I rewatched this today.
Yeah.
Don't tell my job that I had it on in the background. It did take me...
Spoilers, we're recording this, so...
Yes. It did take me about 3 hours to get through the hour episode because when I had to work...
Yes.
Or, I paused it.
Work, yes.
Yes. I really liked their chemistry together. David Morris is just... He's really... likable in this, and he's got so much pain. He plays the arrogance and the cockiness when he thinks he's the Doctor, and then when it's revealed to him where it truly is happening, right, where he's lost his wife and he thinks his son. There is such pain in that. I could see why people would wanted him to be the Doctor.
Right. And
I also understand why that the people at The Walking Dead hired him to be the governor. Now, I have not read the comics, so I'm just going from this. But that was a great villain, and he did a great job doing that. So that
was a really iconic villain they cast him to play on that show. From the comics, and he pretty basically nailed it. He was like their first really big bad on that show before Negan. He was Negan before Negan. Absolutely. On The Walking Dead, and everybody just loved to hate him. So it's really weird because to go back after having watched him as the governor on The Walking Dead to see him being such a really nice character. Yes. On Doctor Who, but regardless, obviously he's still a great actor.
Yeah, and I love this. I love how David Tennant plays this. He's like, oh, it's the next Doctor, or maybe the doctor after next, right? This kind of, even though I guess we've had it's happened once in the little the special, right, where he met the Fifth Doctor.
Yeah.
But
So this is just a couple of seasons after a time crash
yeah,
where he got to meet the Fifth Doctor. So, the Doctor's obviously probably, maybe this is, since this is close to his regeneration, this might be after, I don't know if this would be after the Day of the Doctor or not for the 10th Doctor. But regardless,
yeah.
Ooh,
that's an interesting thought, isn't it? Where this would be.
Yeah, I guess it's a question of where you would place that. Would you place the Day of the 10th Doctor and the Day of the Doctor right before the end of time, or would you place him a little earlier? So maybe he's just kind of thinking, well, it's another me that's turned up, and but yeah, it just he's at first he's puzzled as he goes through this, and he as Jesse types away frantically that
my notes. Yes.
So just that he's naturally suspicious, but especially after hearing Rosita call out for the Doctor, and then obviously the 10th Doctor shows up, and then Jackson shows up as the Doctor, claiming to be the Doctor, and it's just more of kind of like Tennant's Doctor going, what is this?
And there's that sense of arrogance, right? Where Jackson is, I'm the one, the only,
and the best.
And there is that confidence, and
so maybe that was persuasive enough to give him that, make him go, maybe he is me.
Right. And then slowly getting the clues of, and I make air quotes for only Charles, sonic screwdriver.
Right.
Which is a regular screwdriver. How is that sonic? It makes noise. And his TARDIS.
Yeah.
You slowly, the 10th Doctor figures out what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's just really enjoyable. And
the two have great chemistry with
very
one another.
great. Yeah. And the other thing I really like is
you could actually see, David Morrissey's being the Doctor. He's a very believable, if David Morrissey was actually playing the Doctor, it wasn't revealed to be somebody else, you would be okay with that, I'm pretty sure.
I would. And the other thing is,
I know I would.
Yeah, I would. The other thing I really liked is that even though we had the tragedy of him losing his wife, we get kind of a happy ending that it turns out his son survives.
Yes.
And so you kind of have a somewhat happy ending.
Yes.
And
Rosita, Jackson makes this comment that Rosita is going to be kind of the nursemaid or whatever, right. To his son Frederick. So essentially, they've become this, Jackson is willing to bring Rosita in as part of the family.
Yeah, and you wonder if they will end up being more than that. There's a little bit of just a hint of that.
Yeah.
At the end when he says, I think she's, when the 10th Doctor is saying, oh, she's somebody special. He's like, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to need a nursemaid. And you wonder if that might later become more.
Now, keep in mind, this is still the 19th century.
I understand.
So, things are not as progressive as they were today.
I get that.
So it would have to be, I'm sure, something he couldn't do publicly.
Right.
But privately, maybe, in the privacy of their own home, perhaps. But
where is this in terms of...
well, this is in Victorian London.
Right, but with...
in 1851.
So where does Stacks and Madame
Oh,
Jenny,
oh,
there. What is
they're,
there?
you know, you mean Strax and yeah, Madame
Yeah,
Vastra and the Paternoster gang.
yeah.
They're after this. They're
Okay,
close because they're around the 1880s, which is
okay,
essentially Sherlock Holmes time.
okay. So,
So they're basically roughly like 30, 35 years on
okay, good
after
deal.
this.
Okay,
Yeah. If
all right.
if you kind of want to keep your history straight a little bit.
I do. And for my fan fiction,
Yes.
where we meet Jackson meeting them as he's an older man.
I want to read
Uh,
that fan fiction. Now you've committed to it.
yes. Yeah, I was not disappointed in my rewatch. And I do agree, it's a very straightforward story,
Right.
but with as many times we go timey-wimey
Right.
and we try to go things, to have a very set kind of really well done story is a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I thought so. And now, what did you make of Jackson and Rosita? Now we didn't haven't really talked about. I mean, we talked a little bit about Rosita, but um, I kind of want. I don't know about you, but I kind of want to know the story of how Jackson's, next Doctor and Rosita found each other.
Yeah,
Like
I would
like
like
how does
that.
that work? How did he convince her? Like, oh, by the way, I'm a Time Lord, and and this is my sonic screwdriver, and
Mhm.
why don't you can be my companion? How did that
And
work? How did that?
yeah, I want that fan fiction. I want, and I love how she fits into the companion giving the doctor crap,
Right?
yet supportive.
Yeah,
It was really well done, and
I think
eh,
it helps sell the 10th Doctor on the fact that, well, maybe Jackson is a future
yes,
incarnation of me.
I
Um,
totally agree.
because hey, he's got a companion, and he seems like he's acting. So maybe it kind of the presentation
Yeah,
kind of convinced him a little bit, or at least made him doubt a little bit more.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I thought Velile Tshabalala, like saying
Yes,
that, as Rosita, I thought she did a fine job, and pretty much like I could see why Russell T Davies kind of wrote her as kind of like a combination of Rose and Martha a little bit, although
yeah,
obviously coming from the 19th century.
yeah. But I think she's a good companion,
Yeah, yeah,
and so yeah, it was really nice.
yeah, and obviously there's some great moments like the Doctor using the info stamp to kind of try to um, kind of bring Jackson's memory back a little bit, and he projects. There's a great moment where the 10th Doctor projects his previous incarnations
Yes.
on that kind of stable wall
Hmm.
using the info stamp. And this was big at the time because um, this was the kind of the official confirmation that the new era was going to recognize Paul McGann's Eighth Doctor as one of the Doctors, and not just some throwaway, TV movie Doctor.
I did not know that. Talk about good trivia. It reminded
It
me
officially
because
made the Eighth
yeah,
Doctor canon.
because they repeated that same when Matt Smith is in the
Yeah,
the tattered clothes and
yeah,
he
yeah,
walks out of that.
in the 11th hour. Yeah,
They show all it, and all of a sudden he's there in his bow tie. That's great. I thought of that scene. I thought it was great to see. It was, and then later we have where the Cybermen sees several images of the 10th Doctor,
yes.
and that was cool too. So yeah, I very cool with this.
Yeah, so I was as a big Paul McGann Eighth Doctor fan, I was
Yes,
really happy about that because
yes,
there a lot of fans at the time, because fans are fans. They were
yeah,
like, well, Paul McGann's Doctor doesn't count because he was in a
yeah,
TV movie,
right,
and obviously all of us were go like, yes, he does.
yeah,
And this episode pretty much clinched it. So I thought that was very, very happy about that.
And I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, but
Sure.
bear with me, Charles, because it's not a Mr. Grumpy tangent. The more we are in this modern era, I think all Whovian fans should be grateful that the BBC was smart enough to get Russell T Davies to do this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because he's
the guy that brought it back and kept it.
And he brought it back the right way. And
yes.
he's like, nope, we're not going to ignore that TV movie because as I was a fan, I was excited to see.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. And I don't know if you've ever read his book he wrote about when he was, he wrote a book about writing and everything.
Yes.
And it's just a beautiful thing. And so just that's another small reminder of how blessed we are because he did, we include. And then because of McCann being included, we get that great scene of, that little mini episode where he becomes the War Doctor.
The Night of the Doctor, yeah. So,
absolutely.
And brought closure and, even made it even more canon with that.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
It was very happy with that.
Okay.
And obviously all those great Big Finish audios and whatnot that Paul McGann's done. All right. Anything else about the 10th Doctor, Next Doctor, and Rosita?
No.
All right. Topic number 2. Let's talk about Miss Hartigan, Miss Mercy Hartigan, because her Mercy is her real name, and Dervla Kirwan, like you said, we haven't really, we don't know her from much else, unless you follow UK television religiously, but she's really good here.
She's really good, and
she's so essentially the big bad,
and I feel empathy or sympathy for her that the Cybermen end up effing her over.
Yes.
Though you want to go, hello, they're Cybermen. What do you think, right?
Right.
Have you never heard the fable about the scorpion riding on the frog, right?
Yes.
Against the pond.
Yeah, exactly.
They are going to do what they're going to do. I really liked her. I liked her anger at the way she and a lot of people were treated, especially women, right?
Right.
And
that really came through, didn't it? Yeah.
It did. But she also had her own biases. There's a point where the 10th Doctor says, well, what are the children for? And she goes, what they're always for, labor.
Right.
And I don't think that was necessarily ironic on her plate. It was just truly, she had no problem with.
Well, that was the time period she was in.
Yeah, exactly. So
this was during the Industrial Revolution. That a lot of kids were put into to work because they were forced labor. Child labor a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They end up in these workshops and workhouses, and that's actually a plot point in this story because these kids are essentially brought from those workhouses to help create the energy needed to fuel the Cyber King.
Yes.
And so this, and there's a moment where all those there's all these kind of elders, town elders, the elite.
Yes.
At the time, a lot of the rich elite that apparently Miss Hartigan had resented in a lot of ways.
Yes.
They end up getting control. They get those ear pods in, and they're the ones leading the kids, to the factory or whatever where that they can work and help to create the energy needed to fuel the Cyber King, and then, so she kind of takes delight in that a little bit.
Yeah, great scene at the funeral where she's in the red dress, and
Visually, yeah, it's
Yeah,
stunning
beautiful. Yeah,
because it's like, you have this kind of stark white and gray, with the snow coming down, and like the rich elite guys are in their black suits, their funereal suits, with the top hats and whatnot, and then here comes Miss Hartigan in this big um, red dress, and it stands out visually, and it draws all your attention on her, and it's really cool. And then and this is where she kind of shows her bitterness toward not, because she's a woman, she wasn't considered elite enough for them, for the gentlemen, and so as a result, she takes this very perverse pleasure in killing a lot of them and then using the rest to place them under the cyber control.
yeah. It
as vengeance almost.
Yeah, and I also they played it really well, where I love when the Doctor offers, he offers a compromise. He gives the chance,
Yes,
for I'm struggling with the word. Sorry, Charles.
so basically he wants
Yeah.
he offers to relocate
Yeah. Yeah.
Hartigan and the Cybermen on their like own planet or whatever, and you guys
Right.
can go ahead and be whatever you want to be.
Right.
And then of course Miss Hartigan's like, nah, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm cool with what we're doing right now.
Yeah, she offers mercy. He offers mercy, and she has nothing to do with
Offers
it.
mercy to mercy. Yes,
Yes, and then
I see what you did.
then it comes across. Okay, well then let it wherever it's going to hit. Right.
No second chances. I'm that kind of
Right.
doctor. You're right.
And I thought she played it really well when she kind of gets out of the control and realizes what she becomes, and what she's become, and the horror
Right.
of that was really well done. We talked about this just a couple episodes.
Yeah.
The Cybermen have never really had a strong leader, and here's someone that once again they could have kept. That it would have been nice to have her return as the leader.
Somebody you could connect
would have been
to.
nice.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Good stuff.
Yeah, because back in the 80s, they had with the Cybermen. I know I'm kind of digressing a little bit, but like they had David Banks as cyber leader, and he was kind of like the head cyber guy. That and because they used the same actor, it kind of made it a little easier to connect to, because that was the leader, and so but now in the modern era, it seems like the Cybermen, it's harder to connect, and because they don't have that designated leader that you can like that recurs and that you can kind of get to know a little bit, and so it would have been interesting had they kept Miss Hartigan as the cyber king / queen, whatever you want to call her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
So let's see. Anything else about Miss Hartigan?
I do not. I am ready to talk Cybermen.
All right. Topic number 3. This is the big cyber topic. Cybermen, cyber shades, and the Cyber King. So a lot of cyber in this one, he says cheekily.
Why? So why was there the Cybermen with the brain showing? Is that something that
I think that was it? I mean, they didn't obviously do that very often.
Right.
I think that was just kind of say, well, this is the head Cyberman guy.
Okay.
He's got a black face plate, and he's got kind of a transparent helmet so that you can see his brain inside. But I think that was just something Russell T Davies kind of cooked up, and you notice a lot of Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall are like, nah, we're not going to do that.
No, in fact, I think Chibnall's his guy with the almost the Phantom of Opera look almost.
Yeah,
I think worked a lot better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the Cybermen are a fun villain. I think it's hilarious that it took forever before the Cybermen and Daleks, teamed up. It I can't remember which doctor the actor said, well, that's what we did, right? When we had a Dalek, toy and a Cyberman toy, they always matched up together.
Right.
So they are, you're going to, they're in the top 5, if not number 2 villains of Doctor Who. And they were well done. I think there was some humor in it. Like they have that noise when they're marching. We talked about that.
Stomp, 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 stomp.
And then when
I like that one joke, about where the doctor asked, like, did you put yourself on silent mode or something?
Yes, I thought really, that made me giggle so much because we had just talked about how much I love that marching sound and how they did it.
You would think they would use silent mode a lot more.
Yes.
It would be more effective if they did.
For a show
that
has been going on over 50 years,
yes,
there is a simplicity to their villains that Daleks just want to exterminate.
Yeah.
The Master just wants to burn the whole thing down.
Right.
And Cybermen are just the Borg before the Borg.
Yep.
We just want to assimilate you.
Yes. You will become like us.
Yeah, it's just, there's no nuance. There's my goal. I'm going for it.
I think you've encapsulated their various agendas perfectly right there.
Yeah.
Now, what did you make of the Cyber Shades? Because I was not a fan of the Cyber Shades. They're essentially like cyber dogs, basically, because you notice they kind of tilt their heads and they kind of romp around, and it's like they're this like. And I feel bad for the guys playing the Cyber Shades, because essentially what it is, they've got like this black, a woolly blanket over them, and with a Cyberman faceplate on, and they're kind of like romping around like dogs, and I just thought they were really silly and ridiculous.
So,
not a fan personally.
Was it?
And it's probably why we haven't seen them again.
I think, wasn't it the Edgar Allan Poe short story, one of the very first, when he had his French detective, that there was a trained gorilla or ape that did murder.
I'm not familiar with
totally
that.
Okay, totally may have missed this.
I'm not up on my Poe like I should be.
I looked at them as almost like trained apes.
Yeah.
Or,
okay. I could see that. I kind of like like a trained monkey almost.
Yeah, and so that they had taken them and put them, but kept their body so that they could, have that strength and agility.
But I'm thinking, Joe, like, what's the purpose?
No, I think they were going for a different image.
Trying to shake things up,
and I don't think it. I'm like you. I wasn't overly impressed with it. I didn't go, wow, that's cool. We have like, you weren't impressed, but I was with the Cyber Time Lords. Like, I thought that was a cool image.
Yeah. I thought they were okay. I didn't have a thing against them, but
but this, I agree with you. This is just we have cyber monkeys. Okay, did we know that sometimes there are things you didn't know you wanted till they give it to you?
Yeah,
and there's other time you go, nah, I didn't really want that.
I didn't want that exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like thanks Russell T Davies, thanks RTD, but no thanks on that one.
Exactly.
Now something else that was a little cooler, obviously the Cyber King.
Yes.
So essentially, this was like our big giant mecha Cyberman that, and a very cool like steampunk Cyberman that essentially bursts out of this factory once he's powered up, and starts to try to lay waste to 19th century London and stomp all over everything. Not sure what the purpose of that was. Essentially like, oh, we're going to take over because, hey, we've got this giant Cyberman, I guess. And there's nothing you can do about it except for maybe set it on fire, I guess, or, I guess if it was like, bronze or whatever, you probably couldn't set fire to it, but presumably you could come up with something to, because I thought they had gunpowder by this time. They could just do something to it,
Yeah,
like a bomb or something.
I thought the imagery was cool. And I know I keep mentioning the last two episodes of this current season, but it was just the Cybermen, episode.
Yeah, right.
But, we had the Cybermen ship.
Yeah.
That I said it reminded me of Brainiac 5 ship.
Yeah.
That I thought it was going to be, and it was just a head. I thought of this. I looked at her as, the Cyber King was this giant Cyberman.
Right.
So I thought it was a cool image. I like that.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it did. It looked very cool. As much as the cyber monkeys didn't work, I think that was a cool image. And it gave the chance for the Doctor to use the TARDIS.
Right.
Chekhov's hot air balloon, right? If you see a hot air balloon in Act 1, you need to fly in it in Act 4.
Yeah, the tethered aerial release delivered in style.
Yes. So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it just the visuals obviously and I don't blame Russell T Davies for doing this at all, because it's a cool idea on paper, right? That hey, a giant steampunk Cyberman stomping all over 19th century London. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
And the Doctor in a balloon, like you said, the TARDIS fighting against that. Because you're kind of like, I remember the first time watching, going, okay, he's up in the balloon. What is he going to do to stop that?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently his solution was like, okay, I'm just going to free Miss Hartigan from Cybermen control, and that'll take care of the problem. And then there's that moment where, like, oh crap, it's going to fall because of losing control, Miss Hartigan, disintegrating with the Cybermen. And so it's like, oh, it's going to fall on all these people, and everybody freaks out and they run away. And then the Doctor comes up with like, well, I'll just put it into the void and get rid of it that way. What did you make of that resolution to that?
It was kind of convenient, but
little bit of a hand wave.
Yeah. I did like the acknowledgement of Jackson saying, "Long will people remember," and the Doctor's like, maybe not.
And they don't.
No, they don't. People do not remember whatsoever.
Pretty sure that would have made like somebody's newspaper.
Yes,
you would
but
think.
No.
Nope.
Yes, absolutely.
For some reason that got admitted. And then we find out like later in the Matt Smith era that maybe because of everything, Matt Smith's Doctor changing events and whatnot to hide his appearance or his existence, that maybe he took care of that problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that didn't register in Earth's history.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Anything else about the Cybermen, Cyber Shades, or the Cyber King?
No, as you said, Charles, I mean, I do not mean this as a criticism. This was a straightforward episode. For those of us, for our listeners who are worried that Jesse and Charles will not be in sync again, this was a great palate cleanser.
I thought we proved that last time with the Impossible
Astronaut. I thought so
Astronaut.
too, but just want to make sure that yes,
right.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
How about you? Any final thoughts on the episode? I just loved it.
No, I mean, it's very heartwarming, and it's a perfect Doctor Who Christmas special.
Yes.
Perfectly decent and enjoyable. And I loved the bit at the end. We forgot to talk about this in our first topic, where Jackson invites the Doctor to join him, Rosita, and Frederick for Christmas dinner.
Yes.
And at first the Doctor's like, no, I don't. It's not really my thing. My thing is to usually kind of disappear in the TARDIS and leave you all wondering what happened to me. But Jackson persuades him.
Well, and I love the fact that Jackson asks.
Yes.
And is that before or after he goes in the TARDIS?
I think that was after the TARDIS. Okay. Yeah.
And then after the
Or
doctor talks
maybe
about,
I'm not sure. It could be before.
yeah,
I'm not sure.
and then when they talk about companions and
Mhm.
how they break his heart,
Yeah,
um,
that's one of my quotes.
okay, that he then this time, I'm no longer asking you. I
Yes.
am telling you you're going to do this.
Yeah,
And
I demand you join
yeah,
us.
and I thought that was really well done. And I
Mm.
was very happy to see the 10th Doctor follow along and do that.
Yeah.
So I have the quote of where Jackson, praises the Doctor.
Okay.
So yeah, I think well done. So
All right.
really good stuff.
All right.
Yes.
Well, that's a perfect segue then.
Okay.
Unless you have anything else.
Nope, I'm good.
All right, let's get right into our favorite quotes of the episode.
All right.
So why don't you go ahead and give that quote
Okay,
since
so
you're talking
yes.
about it.
Yeah. Jackson, when the Doctor is up there and he's saved the day.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know that man, the Doctor on high, and I know that he has done this deed 1,000 times, but not once, no sir, not once, not ever has he ever been thanked. But no more, for I say to you on this Christmas morn, bravo, sir. And
I love the way that
love that
that
scene.
David Morrissey jumps up on the lamppost and
Yes.
leads the crowd and like yes, everybody
Yes.
give your applause and he's bravo, sir, bravo.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely greatness.
Yeah, Morrissey was just perfection in that.
Yes,
scene.
he was.
All right.
Yeah. You got one?
Yeah. Obviously, my quote that I wanted to do. We're at the end of the episode, where Jackson says, "Tell me one thing. All those facts and figures I saw of the Doctor's life. You were never alone. All those bright and shining companions, but not anymore?" And the Doctor replies, "No." And Jackson asks, "Might I ask why not?" And the Doctor, rather solemnly, replies, "They leave. Because they should, or because they find someone else. And some of them forget me. I suppose, in the end, they break my heart."
And I think the Doctor is still feeling.
And I'm sure a lot of Tennant fans were like, "Oh, he needs a hug."
Yes.
He's
still feeling the pain of Donna, right?
Yeah, this is obviously coming after Donna and what happened, and it just obviously it makes him reluctant, which is why he's not traveling with a companion right now.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I just got a couple more.
Go ahead.
One,
Go for it.
Jackson Lake says, "Help me," and the Doctor, 2 words I never refuse.
Right.
I always love that. And then Jackson going, "May I introduce Rosita, my faithful companion, always telling me off." The Doctor, they do that, don't they?
Yeah, that was one of mine. I love that one.
Yeah, me too.
Also, I have the next Doctor saying, "It's strange, though. I talk of Cybermen from the stars, and you don't blink, Mr. Smith." And the Doctor replies, "Don't blink. Whatever you do, don't blink. Remember that?" And the blinking and the statues and Sally and the Angels, no.
Yeah.
And the next Doctor goes, "You're a very odd man." And the Doctor replies, "I still am."
Yes, it is.
So I thought
that was
good.
great.
And then, of course, Miss Hartigan and the Cyber Leader. We might as well end with this one. When Miss Hartigan goes, "But you promised me. You said I would never be converted." And the Cyber Leader goes, "That was designated a lie."
Yes. Never trust them.
Cybermen. Shakespeare.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to let you go first. Do you have a rating? What's your rating?
My rating for this one, I think this one is okay. It's not my favorite Christmas special,
No.
but perfectly decent. I give it 8 out of 10. Giant steampunk Cyber Kings.
We are in sync. I gave it 8 out of 10 hot air balloons.
Very nice.
This is a good
tethered
one.
aerial release delivered in style.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, very nice.
I had to think Russell T. Davies had a lot of fun writing that out.
I think he did.
Figuring out that acronym.
I think he totally did. Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was good. All right, everybody. Since if you're in the mood for another Cybermen story from the classic era after watching this one, I'm going to reverse the polarity of the neutron flow back to 1968 with The Invasion. This was the third serial of season 6, 1968, written by Derek Sherwin. And this is a Patrick Troughton story for a specific reason that I'm going to tell right after we do our Reverse the Polarity segment.
Okay.
Very important day today, and we'll talk about that. So in this one, after escaping the land of fiction, the second Doctor, Jamie and Zoe, so it's got Jamie in it, so hopefully Jesse will be interested.
Always love Jamie.
All right, so they're forced to land the TARDIS in late 20th century England. With the visual stabilizer damaged, the TARDIS is rendered invisible, which is the previous time it was rendered invisible after we talked The Impossible Astronaut last week.
Okay.
And so they head to London to find their friend Professor Edward Travers for his assistance. This is a guy that they had met in a previous story, The Abominable Snowmen. And hitching a lift with a van driver, they learn of International Electromatics, a mysterious company which has suddenly become the world's leading electronics producer. Arriving at Travers' address, the crew learned that he went to America and left the house in the care of his colleague, Professor Watkins, and his niece Isabel. Learning Watkins has gone missing while working for International Electromatics, the Doctor and Jamie leave to investigate its head office. After they get caught, of course, they're brought to Tobias Vaughn, the company's managing director, who claims Professor Watkins was at a delicate stage of his work and refuses to see anyone. However, the doctor notices Vaughn's unusual behavior and becomes suspicious. After they leave, Vaughn opens up a section of his wall to reveal a cyber planner. The Doctor and Jamie are abducted by two strangers and taken to meet their commanding officer, a chap by the name of Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart, because having been promoted to brigadier after their encounter with the Great Intelligence in the Web of Fear, which is an episode we're going to be talking about this year, the brigadier reveals he's been placed in charge of a military task force called UNIT. Maybe you've heard of them.
Maybe.
Which is currently investigating International Electromatics after multiple claims surrounding the organization. The Doctor and Jamie locate Isabel's uncle at the IE factory, who reveals Vaughn is working with an unspecified ally and they're planning to take over the world. Same thing they do every night, brain, try to take over the world.
Yes, absolutely.
Or Pinky, rather. Back at Unit HQ, the Doctor investigates photos of UFOs near the factory and concludes that, hey, Vaughn's allies are alien invaders. Heading back to the factory, the Doctor and Jamie witness scientists reviving a Cyberman, which pretty much clinches the deal. And using accounts from Professor Watkins, the Doctor deduces that the Cybermen intend to send a hypnotic signal through the devices produced by International Electromatics, which will incapacitate the world's population and nullify resistance. In the nick of time, the Doctor protects his companions and their unit allies with specially made depolarizers that will neutralize the Cybermen's signal. As the Cybermen take over, the Brigadier arranges for the Doctor and company to be transported to unit headquarters in Geneva to help battle the invasion of London.
Nice.
So after completing production of more depolarizers, the Doctor leaves to confront Vaughn in London while UNIT works to stop the Cybermen. Using British artillery, the UNIT causes the Cybermen to turn on Vaughn and decide to destroy Earth with a Megatron bomb. When the Cyberplaner tells Vaughn they no longer need him, yes, they betrayed him, just like kind of they did with Miss Hartigan, Vaughn agrees to thwart the invasion and helps the Doctor locate the homing signal. With UNIT sending troops to help, they are able to defeat the Cybermen guarding the beacon and turn it off, but Vaughn is killed in an ambush. Wah, wah. The Megatron bomb is destroyed by an anti-missile defense rocket, ending the invasion. I'd love to know how they destroyed it without blowing it up. With repairs in the visual stabilizer circuit completed, the Doctor, Jamie, and Zoe return to the TARDIS, accompanied by Isabel and a guy named Turner. And after finding the TARDIS, which is rendered visible again, the Doctor, Jamie, and Zoe bid farewell, and the TARDIS dematerializes. The end.
Yes, very nice.
So if you enjoyed The Next Doctor, I definitely recommend The Invasion. It's one of my favorite Patrick Troughton stories.
All right.
And the reason I bring up Patrick Troughton is because today, as we're recording this, it's March 25th, 2020, the 100th birthday of Patrick Troughton, who was born on
Nice.
March 25th, 1920. So happy birthday, Doctor.
Yes.
Obviously, you're not around to celebrate it with us anymore, but obviously your fans will be more than happy to celebrate in your absence.
Absolutely.
I know I will
Always.
because I'm a big Patrick Troughton fan. So
Absolutely. He is
so
greatness.
yeah, so yeah, he turns 100 today, so I had to mention that, and thought I'd give Patrick Troughton a little shout out in this episode.
Good. Very nice.
And while we're on the subject of some miscellaneous news, we've gotten a lot because obviously with the coronavirus going on, if you're one of the people like me that uh, kind of joined in for the Day of the Doctor rewatch that was held over the weekend. I was live tweeting that if you follow the Next Stop Everywhere Twitter account.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, shame on you. But I was live tweeting that and as it was going on. And it was cool because Stephen Moffat, the former showrunner, was had before the rewatch, about a half hour before he and Dan Starkey, the actor who played Strax on Doctor Who during the Moffat era, they kind of came up with this little cute little Strax Saves the Day video written by Moffat. And it was pretty cool because it had Dan Starkey voicing Strax, and he's kind of like manipulating like this stuffed, not stuffed animal per se, but a stuffed version.
Yeah,
a Strax. Felt like almost like a Strax puppet almost.
Yes.
And he's kind of moving that around and telling the story. And of course, it's got some great, Moffat one-liners, a couple of digs at the Chibnall era, friendly digs.
Yeah.
And it was very cute. So, and I've posted that on our Next Stop Everywhere Facebook page if you want to check it out. It's called Strax Saves the Day, and it was kind of like a Twitter exclusive. But,
yeah, that's good.
I don't know if it's been uploaded to YouTube yet, but
yeah,
and highly, but also other showrunners are stepping up. Other Doctor Who showrunners.
Yes.
Russell T Davies. This is the 25th of March. Tomorrow, March 26th, as we're recording this, is going to be the 15th anniversary of Rose, the very first Doctor Who episode of the new modern era. And Russell T Davies has agreed to, I guess he's going to be live tweeting along with that. And he's going to be, I guess he's got some kind of Rose prequel that something unreleased. We don't know what. Obviously, I highly doubt that Christopher Eccleston is going to be involved.
No.
Unless there's some like unreleased footage from 2005.
Right.
But some kind of Rose prequel. This could be a lot of fun to check that out. I'm obviously going to be live tweeting that as well on our Next Stop Everywhere account. So, Jesse, how about you? Are you going to join in for that?
I don't know if I'll be able to. I'll try.
It's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
And which is 7 p.m. British time, GMT. Okay. So yours would be like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
So if you kind of take like a little late lunch break.
Yes, take a late lunch break. And also today,
the joys of working from home, right?
Yeah. Chris Chibnall released a short story. Did you read that?
I did. And so it was called Things She Thought While Falling. And what it is essentially it's a prequel to The Woman Who Fell to Earth, the very first 13th Doctor novel or episode, excuse me. And it essentially is what the Doctor was thinking as she was falling from the TARDIS until she landed on the train, remember?
Yes.
And met up with Ryan and Yaz and Graham. And so it's essentially her thoughts and kind of like figuring out her personality a little bit right as she's plummeting, which I thought was. What did you make of the story?
I really loved it. First off, I read it in Jodie's voice,
right?
And
oh yeah, you have to.
And and I know this sounds overly simple and it's a duh statement, but it sounds like the 13th Doctor, which
Yeah.
it would be because Chibnall wrote it.
Right.
But it really comes across basically as, I think we've all done that where our mind goes off in a million miles,
Yeah.
and we end up being someplace. How did we get here?
Yeah.
Because of all the different connections. I just thought it was a lot of fun. And
she's kind of like, hey, I guess I'm an optimist, and
yeah,
and all this, and kind of describing her new persona a little bit.
Yeah, I've gone through X amount of, X thousands of ideas. Oh, and now then, I guess maybe plus one in the second. And
yeah,
it was really good. They talk about, well, I'm gonna be okay because I'm gonna have leftover regeneration energy to heal me.
right.
And they even bring up, in the time like when I grew the hand and when I had something else, and I
Yes.
thought that was a nice kind of nod to
continuity.
Continuity. So really, they don't have to do this.
Yeah,
And they're doing it just because so many people are trying to keep spirits up and to keep things going. A lot of musicians are doing house concerts, and I just think it's really cool that the Doctor Who powers that be are trying to have fun with this as well.
Yeah, obviously it's a very dark time for a lot of us, and it's great to see the Doctor Who community stepping up.
I agree.
Organizing these rewatches, and a lot of people participating, and obviously with the past couple of seasons of Doctor Who, there's been a lot of negativity, so it's very refreshing to see the optimism coming through.
I agree,
and we need to reward that.
Yes.
In my opinion, we need to embrace that, and
yes.
Obviously there's still people that are being cynical and snarky and horrible on the internet. But we need to ignore them as best as we can. And, like, for example, while the Doctor Who showrunners are doing something, Jodie Whittaker recorded a little kind of like, a little cell phone video of herself in character as the 13th Doctor. Trying to offer a message of hope and inspiration. And, I've also posted that on our Next Stop Everywhere page if you want to check it out. It was so great and refreshing. A lot of people were like, thank you, Doctor. Like, I know everything's going to be okay because I've heard from the Doctor now. And so they don't have to do this.
No, and it's a 5-point plan how to handle this. You need to hear it in Jodie's voice.
Right.
But several people have written it down.
Yeah.
So you can see that image. It's just, you're right. They do not have to do this. They're wanting to, and it's just really beautiful. And
it shows Jodie's a great ambassador for Doctor Who.
Yes, it is very much so.
So I want to give her props as well.
Absolutely.
So it's great to see the Doctor Who people standing, even from the past. It's not just Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall. It's former showrunners who don't have to do this. They've got other things to do.
Moffat joined Twitter
Dan
again.
Starkey, yeah,
he went into Twitter again. He is
Briefly.
off Twitter just to do this because they love the fandom in the show.
Yeah. So it's a very, and then I just think it's great, and obviously
I do too.
we need that stuff more than ever right now. I think.
Yeah. You want to read? We have feedback.
Yes,
you
we
want to read Holly's? I'll read David. Then you can read Hannah's.
All right, sounds good. All right,
Okay.
so all right, let me get up my email here, the Gmail, and so we got Holly Mack writing in about the next Doctor. All these are going to be about the next Doctor, by the way. Holly writes in, hey Charles and Jesse, the next Doctor is right. That's us. Last time I checked, right up there in my favorites of Christmas specials. Jackson Lake as the Doctor was great casting. Agreed. Mercy Hartigan was an awesome villain alongside the Cybermen. I was chuckling during the scene of Jackson and the Doctor trying to escape the cyber shades. I was getting flashbacks to the movie The Great Outdoors, where John Candy was trying to give his son advice on how to water ski. And one bit of information that was when you're in trouble, and and the first thing you do is let go of the rope. Jackson and the doctor should have, which they didn't, until Rosita made that decision for them. I had a question about it. Like, why didn't they just let go?
Yeah, who knows?
Right?
Yes. Right.
Especially, like, and I understand when you're like being pulled up the side of the wall, but once you're on the floor through the window, why not let go? I love it, unless he just forgot to. I don't know.
Right.
I love Jackson's TARDIS. The nods to all the current doctors at that time from the Cybermen's info stamp was a very nice touch. Definitely agree. The doctor scolding Rosita for punching Mercy reminded me of the 7th Doctor scolding Ace for using Nitro 9.
Nice.
I'm a good girl, Professor. I do what I'm told.
Yes.
I really don't think he minded all that much, but he had standards to uphold. The Cyber King was rather frightening when I first saw it, and Mercy was trying to take over as the leader. You only knew that it was going to last for so long before it headed south. Jackson's reaction to seeing the TARDIS was priceless. I also love the fact that Jackson demanded the Doctor come to Christmas dinner. I'll wrap it up here. Holly from Wisconsin.
Nice. Thank you, Holly, as always.
Always great to hear from you, and you have to stay tuned, everybody, because Holly's going to be joining us here in a few episodes.
Yay.
So that's very cool, right?
Yes, indeed. All right, so David Proctor writes in, I cannot help but see this episode through the lens of the latest season. I enjoyed this episode like all the specials. They tend to be lighter and more fun. This one is thoroughly entertaining. When the Doctor tells Jackson Lake that he clearly has holes in his memory because Lake can't remember him, this makes me think of how many lies the Doctor can't remember. The Doctor even refers to himself as the one and only. This is a different perspective, even with only 13 lies. I think this is an example of the Doctor bringing out the best in others. When Lake knows he isn't the Doctor, he still jumps in and helps the Doctor to beat the Cybermen. I know he has his own grudge, but he seems to go above and beyond Rosita as well. She was saved by Lake when he thought he was the Doctor, and she is certainly dedicated to being a force for good. Steampunk Voltron Cybermen! Awesome! It is good to see that a strong mind perhaps can beat the conversion process, even if the Cyber King was perhaps worse than the Cybermen. So strong wills and strong emotions, like for one's child, can beat overwhelming technology. But alas, the Doctor is sad inside and can't help but leave, even before a Christmas meal. Even though he gives in and accepts the meal, I feel sad for him. I know he is close to Rose and Donna and Martha, but I feel like he never felt like a part of the family until the Pawns. He did take up the offer for a Christmas meal from the Pawns without hesitation, and they say they always set a place for him. Perhaps the TARDIS isn't the only thing that always takes him where he needs to be. Perhaps his companions take him to where he needs to be as well. Sincerely, David K. Proctor. Great point. Absolutely. I love that.
Great email,
thought.
David.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, great email. So, you have to kind of, I think it's just mostly the incarnation, because, with David Tennant's Doctor, the 10th Doctor, he was always like Mr. Broody, like, I'm just going to, be over here alone in the corner. And Matt's 11th Doctor was, bring it in, we're buds, and wanting to hang out, is much more outgoing than Tennant's Doctor in a lot of ways.
And Jodie's Doctor is much more family oriented.
Exactly.
She calls it the fam.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they all have their different takes.
Okay.
That. So, but a great email from David as well. Lastly, but certainly not leastly, we have Hannah Scrappa joining us, writing in, greetings, Charles and Jesse. I hope this message finds you well in the midst of this outbreak. Was there an outbreak? I didn't notice. I thought I'd take the time to write in about the next Doctor. This special is an interesting oddity, as it's only one of the RTD specials not set in modern times. The 1851 setting does certainly give it a Dickensian Oliver Twist vibe. David Morrissey does a superb job as Jackson Lake / the Doctor, in quotes. I'm happy with the past 3 Doctors we've had since Tennant, but in this story shows David Morrissey would have made an excellent replacement. Agreed, definitely. I know David Morrissey is busy these days, but I'm surprised Big Finish hasn't approached him for Jackson Lake and Rosita audio adventures, right?
Ooh, I'd love it.
They do everything else. You think that would
Yeah.
think that would happen? A nitpick of mine comes in the scene where the children are escaping the workhouse. Jackson Lake's son, Frederick, stands for an awfully long time on that platform when there are literally stairs just a few feet away from him. That's a great observation.
That is a great observation.
I know that he was scared and that the aforementioned stairs caught fire, but there was still plenty of time before the explosion for him to get down. There was even a handrail. It's a tiny thing that irritates me, but it's minor. I think it's more, he was he's a scared kid, and he was, just afraid to go anywhere. So it's interesting watching this episode in retrospect, since as we as the audience know, that the next Doctor was played by Matt Smith. I wouldn't say this knowledge predates the episode. It doesn't. But I'd imagine that new fans watching this through this era would certainly be trying to parse things out. It's funny how over the course of 12 years, we've gone from a human thinking he's a secret incarnation of the Doctor to an actual secret incarnation of the Doctor thinking she's human.
Nicely said.
Yeah, nice little juxtapose there.
Yeah.
I'll wrap it up here, but please stay safe out there. Keep up the good work. Best regards, Hannah Scarappa. And Hannah, you also please stay safe out there.
Absolutely.
We want all our listeners, all of you, to please stay safe, because we want you healthy. We want to be able to talk Doctor Who with you in the future. And so wash your hands, keep your social distance, and just hide out in your houses and, hey, watch Doctor Who and listen to Next Stop Everywhere, right?
So, Charles, since you are at home,
yes,
they may have a little extra time. If they wanted to spend that time perhaps giving us feedback, how could they?
You are all kinds of adorable. All right. So if you want to be like Holly, Hannah, and David, and please do, please write to us at nextstopeverywheresmg@gmail.com. That's nextstopeverywheresmg for Southgate Media Group @gmail.com. Or you can reach us on Twitter at nextstopsmg on Twitter, because, hey, we might live tweet stuff. So you definitely want to check us out there. Or on Facebook at Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. Or on Instagram, which I finally posted a new photo, at Next Stop Everywhere podcast. So, Jesse, how about you? Where are you thinking to reach you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Jesse Jackson DFW. You can find me on Facebook, Jesse Jackson, Instagram, Jesse Jackson. And I can hear me. Charles and I are on some other podcasts right now that are on hiatus. But if you are doing a rewatch of Watchmen and you want to hear our take on this wonderful series, you can go hear us on the Fandom Zone podcast. You can also go to, if you got DC Universe and you want to check on the Titans or Doom Patrol, you can hear us talk about that on Titan Talk. And then in a episode that you comic book fans will really like, I have Ron Martz from Green Lantern and Witchblade and DC versus Marvel fame, the comic book writer, on Set Lusting Bruce, my Bruce Springsteen podcast this week. And he talks a lot about how Bruce Springsteen influenced his writing. Springsteen and Stephen King are the two things, his two writing gurus. So that's a very cool episode to check. Charles, how about you?
Yeah, please check that out. And as for me, you can reach me on Twitter at Charles Skaggs or on Instagram at Charles Skaggs, where I just posted a picture of my cat Keiko, and Facebook Charles Skaggs in Hilliard, Ohio, or on Instagram, of course, or excuse me, and or my blog of geeky things. Excuse me, I'm just trying to get back on track here. Damn Good Coffee and Hot. I have to do the thing.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Where I talk about all the stuff we talk about here on Next Stop Everywhere, including your Doctor Who, your Torchwood, your Sarah Jane Adventures, and all kinds of comic book sci-fi news, as much news as there is right now. And And other than that, also my other podcast for Southgate Media, including the aforementioned Titan Talk and Phantom Zone podcast, and Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast, with Zan Sprouse, whom you've heard here on Next Stop Everywhere. And as we talk right now, we're kind of doing like commentary for Twin Peaks: The Return. And here in a couple of weeks, we'll be recording our big Twin Peaks 30th anniversary episode.
Ooh, nice.
So that'll be Ghostwood episode 72. And hope everybody please check that out, because Zan's obviously very cool, and we have a lot of fun talking, obviously, here and there as well.
Yes, and last plea, please go to wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Stitcher or iTunes,
Google
or
Play.
Leave us a review.
iHeartRadio.
Yes. Rate and review us, because it does help us find new listeners. Hey, Charles.
Yes. Hey, Jesse.
You want to tell the audience what we're going to talk about next week?
Well, next time on Next Stop Everywhere, as for episode 178, we're going to talk Tooth and Claw with special guest companion Hannah Scarappa, whom you've recently heard an email from. This is going to be kind of like our first episode in our month of Torchwood month. This is kind of like the origin of Torchwood, so it kind of counts. And before we start talking Torchwood Children of Earth. So if you want to check us out for this big prelude, it's another one from the David Tennant era. But it's very cool. It also set in the Victorian era.
Yes.
Because hey, we meet Queen Victoria in this one, and find out that all the royal family are werewolves.
Yes.
Oh my God, they're werewolves.
I am so looking forward to this. As you guys know, Torchwood was my gateway into Doctor Who. And so when we were talking about what we wanted to do, we both said that would be kind of fun. We haven't done a lot of Torchwood discussions, so we thought that would be fun to take to do a month worth of that and episodes. So I'm excited. I think that's going to be great. I hope you guys join us on this journey. Charles, I hope you and the lovely Lori stay safe, and I hope your parents are doing well.
Well, they are, thankfully. Obviously they're in their 80s, so it's obviously a very pressing concern with yours truly.
Yes.
But I check on them. I go over and visit a few times a week. Make sure they're okay. Make sure there's no fevers before I go over.
Yeah.
And they're doing okay for right now. So
good.
Just we're trying to hang in there as best as we can with this new world order that we're in.
Yes.
But hopefully things will pick up.
Yes.
And, we'll get kind of back on track shortly. Not sure when. It may be some time, but I want everybody, try to be as positive as you can, be as hopeful as you can. If you're feeling down, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Reach out to somebody. Just don't give up.
Yeah.
If you're lonely, if things look bleak, just like I said, just even if it's through Skype or email or something, instant messaging, texting, what have you. There's a lot of ways to stay in touch. FaceTime, Skype. So just reach out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And know that you're not alone. There's a lot of people that feel like that, and if we can hopefully bring, lift your spirits for like an hour or so here at Next Stop Everywhere, that's great. That's all we can hope for. We're trying to do our best, and watch some Doctor Who, because there's certainly nothing wrong with that. And Jesse, anything you want to add?
I am going to end with a quote from Charles. Just recently posted a video on his website to talk about this, and on my other podcast, I'm putting together an episode of songs to inspire you, to give you hope. And Charles had posted Peter Gabriel and the great Kate Bush, and I'm going to quote that to end us. Don't give up, because you have friends. Don't give up. You're not beaten yet. Don't give up. I know you can make it good. And thank you for posting that, Charles.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a great classic video. One of my favorite songs from the 80s. and highly recommended. So if you're feeling a little down, please watch that video. I think it'll help. So otherwise, everybody, please stay safe out there because we love our listeners and we want to keep you around. Come on back next time for episode 178 of Next Stop Everywhere, Tooth and Claw with Hannah Scarappa. I think it's going to be a lot of fun because she's a blast, and I really enjoy talking to her. And it's going to be great to have her meet Jesse as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. So everybody come on back, and we'll see you next time right here, Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. Goodbye, everybody.